Okay, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to our campaign kickoff call. If you're new to campaign kickoff calls, we host these every Monday at 2 p.m. to go over this week's marketing plan that we put together for you at listingleads.com. I'm flying solo today. Usually at this point, I pass the mic to my partner in crime, Lee Atkins, to share a little bit of background on what's been going on this past week at Listing Leads. But Lee is in Las Vegas at the Zillow Unlock conference right now, stealing all of their best ideas for us over here at Listing Leads. So on that note, if you could do me a favor, let me know that the audio is working. You could see me, you could hear me. So in the chat, let me know where you're calling in from today. And I want to start today's campaign kickoff call with a success story that I think really kind of encapsulates the essence of what we try to do here at Listing Leads, which is get you more listings. You look like the audio is working. Hello from Honolulu, Amelia Island. Tamara, my daughter's name, my youngest daughter's name is Amelia. So that's I'm going to tell her that one day we're going to go to an island just named after her. Hey Peggy, welcome. Hey Sherry, welcome. What's up, John? Hey Mia. All right, awesome. So on that note, let's get into today's topic. Again, we're going to talk about campaign kickoff call here, but let me just share my screen because I think this is just totally worth sharing, giving you some insight on. And this is an example of something I'm just really passionate about, and I think it's worth just kind of highlighting. So our friend of Listing Leads, the infamous Nick Shoemaker, who's out there, Nashville Nick, just doing amazing work executing the strategy. She shared something I posted on Instagram earlier today. She shared that she posted this success story where she basically said, "Hey, I sent out 300 letters to a neighborhood where my clients want to live in. You know, he's a pro football recruiter. Here's the details." And she used, just to be clear, she used the Listing Leads magic buyer letter. I know you're probably not even thinking about selling, but if you believe there might be someone who's serious about buying your house and willing to pay top dollar, you're right. And the letter goes on and talks about exactly what they're looking for. So 300 letters. She then, look at the date of this, October 21st at 7:17 p.m. She posts that in our mastermind group. Then, as I calculated, 100 hours later, 100 hours and 47 minutes later, she shared a success story where she effectively is getting a $1.7 million listing, and she's going to probably be able to double end this deal. Now, she actually ended up setting to a little bit more than 500, so she doubled down on this campaign. But look at the date, October 26th she posted this at basically midnight because she was so excited. You see that this is an example of a campaign that within 4 days, basically 4 or 5 days, she's getting results from. And I share that to start off today's session because at a high level, one of the things I want to just sort of point out here is that oftentimes I hear examples of people talk about direct mail marketing where they're like, oh, you get to farm an area for 12 months, sometimes 18 months, make, 10, 15, $20,000 investment. What I'm here to tell you right now is that, and something that we believe at Listing Leads, is that smart marketing, personalized marketing, timely marketing is one of the best, fastest, and easiest ways to get results without spending a lot of money and without having to wait your turn. So if you're new to Campaign Kickoff Call, let me know in the chat if this is your first time. If this is your first time attending a Campaign Kickoff Call, let me know in the chat. And by the way, love the fact that Rebecca is sending these letters out this week. I mean, Rebecca, I am on a one-man mission to get more people to make this part of their monthly routine, which is magic buyer letters. We create like 3 or 4 different variations on Listing Leads. We're always coming with new ideas. They just work. Okay, cool. We got a bunch of first timers on today's session. What's up, Tiffany? Tiffany knows what's going on here. Tiffany put together a great blueprint on this, by the way, for TF Summit this past year. Insanely useful, kind of like beyond the magic buyer letter. She has a whole process on this. It's brilliant. Shout out to Tiffany for doing that and sharing that. Tiffany, if you can, that'd be great to share that in the private mastermind group too. If you have a chance to do so later on. Okay, so campaign kickoff call. Here's the deal. I'm going to walk you through this week's marketing plan. And I'm going to give you some context behind the plan. I'm going to share with you why we recommend what we do. And then also throughout today's session, I'll kind of give you the overall strategy, what the plan was, why we developed the way we developed it, but also put you in a position where you are actually executing and getting results. So on that note, let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the plan for this past week. Okay, so again, if you're new to listing leads, you'll see that on listing leads, at the heart of what we do is we have your weekly marketing plan. You'll see here every week we publish a brand new marketing plan for you that includes social media, it includes video marketing, it includes text messaging, it includes emails, everything that you need to have a successful week when it comes to attracting new customers. Now, the reason that we do these calls is so I can give you a quick overview of why we created what we create and go over the actual details with you. So let's kick off and talk about what Mondays are. Now, if you've been on these calls before, you know what Mondays are. They are the deal of the week. And I'll start with email as an example. So every week we recommend sending out the deal of the week email. The deal of the week email, popularized by my friend Sharon, former president of Real, now currently president of acquisition.com, is a simple email strategy where you, the agent, identifies what the best deal is in your area, and you send an email to your database, basically let them know that, hey, you found a home that you think is worth their attention. Now, the notable part of this is that we are effectively sending an email that is going to not include certain key criteria. Number one, it's not going to include the address of the home. It's not going to include photos of the home. And it's not going to include a price or a link where they can view more. The main goal for the deal of the week email is to get people to respond to the message. And if we give away all the information, we dramatically reduce the likelihood of them responding. Now, let's break this down just a little bit further. If you do not have a home that you want to feature, like let's say it's one of your listings you want to feature, then the best and fastest way to do that is to use our free deal of the week tool. So if you go to automate.listingleads.com/deal, you can come in here and you can use this tool, and I'll share it within the chat for everyone. By the way, Lee usually handles the chat, so you guys have to bear with me today as I do both color commentary and give you guys the MC role here. But if you go to the automate.listingleads.com/deal, we can help you identify what the very best deal is in your area. So if I go in and say Auburn, New Hampshire, type in Manchester, New Hampshire, and we recommend you can do up to 5 cities, by the way. And I'll do Bedford, New Hampshire. And we got someone, I think a John from Concord, New Hampshire, in the call today. All right, I gotta give a shout out to all my live free or die New Hampshireites, if that's even a thing we say in New Hampshire, John. All right, so I'm gonna scroll down here. I'm gonna go ahead and select this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and find my very best deal. So this free tool, as part of Listing Leads, will effectively help you identify the most viral listings on Zillow. We'll analyze them. We'll identify which ones have the most views, which ones have the most saves, and then we'll run a sort of an algorithm to calculate which ones have the highest save rate. And if that works properly, what will happen is we'll give you a link, an example. Hey, we found 74 homes, and here's a home that had a save rate of 8.5%. Now, just to give you some perspective, because we talked about this in the past, I mean, that's a crazy high save rate. 8.5% is meaning for every 100 people, 8.5 will save this home. That tells us that this particular property is a property that the consumer considers to be a great deal. Because a great deal does not necessarily mean it's the world's best price. I mean, there's something unique about this property that's worth diving into. Now, you'll notice there's a button there to the right side called Auto Write an Email. So you can actually click on that and we'll generate an email for you. Now, we have a brand new tool at Listing Leads called AI Mode that will actually do everything I just showed you automatically. We'll talk about that at the end of today's session. But if you're on a budget and you want to just be able to do this, you can see here we literally just create that email for you. You can copy that, paste it, and send it. So Mondays, deal of the week. We want you, without fail, every Monday sending out the deal of the week. For those of you who have been consistent with it, excellent. For those of you who are struggling to be consistent with it, we have some free tools. We also have some premium tools we could talk about in a little bit as well. But Mondays is all about emailing your database the best deal of the week. Now, we also have a social media post. As you can see, every week we try to mix this up. So 3 weeks ago, we did the airdrop angle. This past week, we did a carousel version. This week, we're using an ad for New Balance. It's like a really cool New Balance ad that we saw recently. And You'll see this is an example of the ad, like too new to preview. Here's the details. Want the link? Yes, 100%. Drop it there. So every week we will create a Canva template that you can use to not only post or send the email campaign, but also post it on social media to anybody who's following you on Instagram. So it's a great way for you to generate leads from email and from social media. So Monday, social post, email of the week. Tuesday, we're going to create another email. Now, for those of you who are, I'm going to stop the share for 1 second. For those of you who are new to listing leads, if this is the first time, understand there's a logic behind this. There's 3 things we try to accomplish with every single week. The first thing is we try to engage our database. And I'll give you a little bit of a story because I've shared this before in the past. We when I used to run on the company called Curator, and we built an 11-person ISA team. And what ended up happening was we made thousands and thousands and thousands of dials. We actually, over the course of 1 year, set 5,000 appointments in 1 year using our ISAs. I have just incredible respect for anyone who's done the ISA role. I mean, it's an incredibly difficult job. The one thing that we learned, our one big insight, was that if we are going to try to increase the phone call to appointment conversion ratio, that the one thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get better at engaging our database, because the likelihood someone's going to convert when they are like a cold lead, they've shown no behavior, they haven't filled out a form, they haven't opened an email, they haven't clicked on a listing alert, it's tiny. It's tiny. Whereas if I can kind of email my database of 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, I can kind of shake the tree a little bit. Then all of a sudden, now I've got a lot more people that I can follow up with who have a much higher likelihood of converting into a customer. So what I'm trying to say in a very simple way is that the best sales strategy is a good email strategy. And that's why we include not only the deal of the week email, but also the email of the week. Now, this week, we've been seeing interest rates finally start to creep down. As I mentioned on previous campaign kickoff calls, 2 years ago, interest rates were flirting with 8%. Now we're getting much closer to low 6s, high 5s. Every single mortgage expert, if you believe them, predicts that we're going to see interest rates in the high 5s in Q1 of 2026. So we are trying to right now start having these conversations, not when it's the spring market, but right now we want to build up a pipeline. And so you'll notice that we include in these emails, we include 2 things. Number 1, the subject line in inbox preview. So this is how do low rates impact your home value? And then the preview text, which is what you see when you are not viewing an email, but what shows up in your Gmail or your Microsoft inbox. The easiest way to avoid financial stress. And then the email is you don't need to be thinking about selling to know you don't need to be thinking about selling to know your home's value. In fact, it's something I recommend my clients check every 6 months. So what we're trying to do with this is a psychological principle called social norms. We're trying to recommend to people that, hey, you probably should check, because we as experts recommend your home value at least every 6 months, whether it's going up or down or staying the same. It's something that everyone should do. It's something that I recommend. So this is a classic psychological technique using social norms to try to drive behavior. It's one of the easiest ways to avoid financial stress because it gives you clear picture of your options. A few months ago, this is where we make it timely. A few months ago, buyers were cautious, but now we're seeing a jump in activity that could shift, could mean a lot for your home's value. Would it be helpful if I prepared an updated report for your home? So let's be clear about this, folks. This is a straight fastball down the middle. Would you like to know what your home's value is worth? And the thing that's important about this is that those types of campaigns, the types of leads you get from those campaigns are super high quality, high intent seller leads. It's one of the best ways to get a listing is to get people to opt in to get their home value. But you have to take this concept of getting someone to raise their hand to ask for their home value. Take this concept and you have to wrap it in all these little marketing tricks and tactics to improve conversion ratio. If you just send out an email like, hey, find out what your home's worth, click on this link, like every other person, or they just kind of subscribe to one of those auto alerts, like you're missing the opportunity here. Like what we always try to do with listing leads, we're always trying to say, like, this is the reason why we want you to pay attention to this. This is the reason why we want you to open up this email. So let me come back here to the plan. Come back to this. So Monday, deal of the week, social plus email. Tuesday, email of the week. Everything we've done up to this point has been engaging our database, getting people to open, getting people to click, and probably getting a few replies as well. Now we're moving into starting to sell. So remember, the big three things I always coach you on when it comes to developing a great marketing strategy are engage, convert, and grow. In that order: engage, convert, and grow. So the beginning of the week is engagement, middle and end of the week is convert, and then we want to end the week with some growth tactics to help you increase your audience, increase your followers, increase your database. So this week, man, we spent a lot of time on this text this past week. And what I love about what we came up with for you today is there's a woman by the name of Vanessa Van Edwards. Actually, let me just share the story real quick and I'll show the text. Vanessa Van Edwards, who is a famed psychologist, she has, if you look her up online, this is at the point, by the way, I'm like, hey, Lee, drop a link, but Lee's not here. So you guys are going to have to look it up online after today's session, which is Vanessa Van Edwards has an awesome TED Talk. But she was on a podcast recently, one of my favorite podcasts, and you guys should all check it out. It's called The Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. And let me know in the chat if you guys are actually following Stephen Bartlett. I mean, awesome podcaster. Probably one of the world's top 3, top 5 guys. Just a good soul. So on that podcast, Vanessa Van Edwards was on it sharing, and she goes, there are 3 things that make you more likable to whoever you're interacting with. And the one of those phrases is, hey, Jackson, I saw this thing and it made me immediately think of you. And that, using that phrase, made me think of you. I immediately thought of you. Ooh, I thought you'd like this. Ooh, I thought you'd appreciate this. That phrase communicates care and empathy in a way that causes someone to say, okay, yes, this person feels like it's actually personalized to me. And so for this week's text of the week, it says, hey, Stephen, it seems like every week I hear from someone who thought they'd wait a year or two to buy or sell, then suddenly change their plans. Made me think of you. You still plan to stay put long term, or has that started to shift? Now, I'm actually generally saying this to people I've had a conversation with. So if I'm saying my email of the week or deal of the week on Monday, I'm saying my email of the week on Tuesday, on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm kind of systematically going through my database. And I'm starting with people who I've talked to who have opened up my emails. And then I'm probably going to work maybe my SOI or my past clients, where I'm basically going to identify people I haven't followed up with in a while. But the beauty of this message, the beauty of this text message here, it's designed to create sort of like a very simple conversation starter in the mind of the consumer, which is you're giving them, hey, here's the reason I'm reaching out, because a lot of people are switching their plans. Here's a transition. It made me think of you. This makes me feel like likable. And again, you can make a small tweak to that if you want. If you use certain language, by all means, play with it. But we listing leads, like before, this is going to sound terrible. I just have to share this. I read this in a parenting blog recently, and I've been trying it with because I got 2 little girls, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I'm trying to be like every parent. I'm trying not to be a terrible parent. I'm trying to figure out a way to get them to be self-sufficient and think and use their brain and, all the things a good parent's supposed to be able to do besides love your kids. And so the natural thing, especially for dads, all the dads on the call who have girls know, you almost always want to default do everything for your girls. I think with boys it'd be a little bit different, but for girls and dads and girls, let's just say it's very easy for them to take advantage of me. So one thing I've been trying with them lately is if they ask me to do something, instead of saying sure or I'll help, I'll say, have you tried it yourself yet? And almost always they haven't, and then they try it and they usually don't need my help at that point. If it's going well, that doesn't go always go that well. I think with listing leads, it's a lot like that, which is before you change anything, just try it our way. Before you make changes, because I think we have a lot of people on the call right now who have maybe like they want to change certain things, they want to manipulate, they want to add more context, they want to add their logo, make it bigger, they want to add a long opening paragraph. Before you try it your way, before you kind of go out there and manipulate it, try it our way first. Because what I'll tell you is, in my experience, oftentimes when I see people manipulate the campaigns, they're adding things that don't actually drive better results. They're just adding it because they're used to doing it. So it's just my advice here when it comes to this is just, if you're new to listing leads, give it a go our way first, and then if you want to in the future, by all means, once you get your rhythm, try it your way as well. All right. So on that note, we talked about the email of the week on Monday, the email of the week on Tuesday. We talked about texting. My advice when it comes to texting is going to be every single day on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I want you texting minimum 5 people, but really closer to 10 to 20 people each day. Just find them. I don't care if it's a DM. I don't care if it's someone in your database who's opened an email. I don't care if it's a past client you've ignored for like a year and a half. Try to get to that like 10 to 20 range mark. It's going to compound, because all of a sudden, over the course of a month, you now have reached out to 100 to 120 people, right? If you're really consistent with it. Well, that's going to result in 3 to 5 appointments for you. I'm telling you right now, we see it every single time at listing leads. When someone buys into the strategy, buys into the plan, you're going to book a lot more appointments, but you got to get the reps in. I mean, it's all about getting the reps in. All right. So now we talked about engaging, we talked about converting. Well, let's talk about building. So we like to use 2 different channels for building, which is social media and YouTube, and then whenever possible, direct mail. So this week we designed a brand new campaign, which is designed for identifying the fact that we've seen a rise in mortgage applications. And real quickly, just I want to call this out because we have some Canadians on the call today as well. Let me pull this up so you can see this. We have a toggle in our tool where everything we have for the US market, if you just toggle to Canada and apply it, you'll see that we actually adjust the plan for you specifically for the Canadian market. So it's not just you don't have to translate that. We do that for you already. So just want to call that out. If you click on the Canadian flag, we'll actually update your entire listing leads account to only Canadian content. And for the record, the head of creative, Bethany, actually is Canadian. So we can certify that it's not me adding a U to the word neighborhood. We actually have a Canadian on staff who is the chief creative at Listing Leads. So on that note, let me jump back to the plan. So this week we have mortgage applications are up 20% than a year ago. So just to be clear, when it comes to your Instagram plan, every single week, we're trying to find out like what's relevant in the news, what's relevant in your business, what's relevant in the market. So we saw a recent spike in mortgage applications, and we created a template for you, which kind of helps people understand the context. And I'm really proud of the question that we use here, which is mortgage applications are up 20% than a year ago. We have a beautiful visual, which best describes your situation. I want to buy in November. I want to buy in December. I'm waiting until 2026. And the goal here is we're trying to create a poll that can capture short-term and midterm and long-term leads. And so you give them some information, like what's happening in the market, and you provide an easy to answer, simple question that helps you identify who's serious and who's ready to move now and who needs to be planning for 2026. So this is an Instagram lead gen poll. This is one of the fastest and easiest ways for you to get leads, free leads from Instagram, is to use Instagram polls. So right now, many of you maybe have been posting to Instagram, shooting Instagram videos, maybe sharing listings on Instagram, maybe you're getting the occasional lead from Instagram. The reason why on Mondays and on Thursdays we include a a link or an Instagram poll is because they're trying to get people, trying to convert your followers and your fans into like opportunities. And you'll hear us say this all the time at Listing Leads, but there's only three things you have to remember of marketing. Number one, the agent who has the most conversations wins. Always, forever. The agent who has the most conversations wins. Number two, the way to have more conversations is through better marketing, better scripts, better emails, better social media strategies, better videos. Number three, the only way to get better at marketing is to do it consistently. Results come from repetition. So if you are sending out a one email or one post once a month, you're never going to get that momentum that we're talking about, that compound results we're talking about. And the reason why I am so passionate about this is because if you look at the different ways you can generate business in real estate, if you look at, I would call the most expensive to the least expensive. So in the chat, what is the most expensive lead source in real estate? Just I want to hear everyone else. I got my opinion. I want to hear yours. What is the most expensive lead source in real estate? Drop in the chat right now for me. Because I think probably the most expensive source, let's see, people saying Zillow, PPC, cold calling. Yep. Zillow. Yep. Tamara saying Zillow. Yep. So I think most likely a corporate relocation seller is probably the most expensive lead, with like Zillow probably being right behind that. Because I think Zillow's charging now, I want to say 35%, 40% for seller leads. It's basically going up. So, you've got some leads, like any listing lead that comes with a 40% or higher referral fee and then requires you to invest in that listing, meaning marketing, advertising, signs, right? Administrative work. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So like anything that's involved in that, I mean, that's going to, that like right before you make a single dollar, you're getting 50% of that dollar every time. So that's what I would call probably the most expensive type of lead. And then on the entire other side of the spectrum is the least expensive lead. And the least expensive lead is going to be the leads that you generate yourself. The leads that are either in your database that are raising their hands, the leads that you get from social media, the leads that are basically getting from your online reputation referrals, but the leads that don't require you to actually spend money or spend time. Those are your least expensive leads. You guys with me on this? Like one spectrum is the 40% plus referral fee, where you are having to invest both a massive tax plus capital to basically sell the house. And the other side is a lead that you don't spend money on and you don't spend a lot of time on. And then like you got cold calling, kind of maybe even direct mail, kind of in the middle of that pack, where you're either spending time or you're spending money. So if you've got 1,000 people in your database, you've already spent the money on those leads. You probably already get an ROI from those leads. You now get incremental value every time you convert one of those leads. Social media, same thing. Yeah, it requires a little bit of time, but you're not having to chase these people. You don't have to make 10 dials to convert them into an appointment. That's not happening. So the least expensive leads are the ones that you generate your own, that don't cost you a lot of time and don't cost you a lot of money. That's why at Listing Leads, and by the way, look at Justin. I just paid a 50% relocation fee for corporate relocation for a seller. Justin, that's like the camera, I'm going to cut the camera out, correct? It's going to be like, that's over here. Right? And that's the most expensive. So that means what I want you to think about visually here is, I'm trying to like turn, I know how to use my hands. Hold on. Okay. I'm trying to create one of those scales. So, here it goes. If you want to have more revenue and more profit in your business, you increase the number of those low cost leads that don't take a lot of time. And yeah, it doesn't make a difference how many of those relocation deals you have. It just can't be a large percentage of your business. Otherwise, you won't make that much profit. So you're trying to increase the amount of self-sourced deals that don't take time or money, which is, again, that is basically the entire reason we exist at Listing Leads. So let's end today's session with Campaign Kickoff with probably my favorite campaign we conceptualized and launched for you in the past few months, which is actually in the chat. Before I unveil this, you gotta let me know. For most of you, not all of you, but for most of you, the spring is your busy season. meaning you're helping the most amount of buyers, the most amount of sellers during, from late February up until maybe late May, early June. When you're the busiest is oftentimes when you do the least amount of marketing. So, how many of you right now sold a house in the spring of 2025 that was a notable sale? You did a bunch of marketing behind it. You sold it maybe above the ask price, or you sold it, you beat the market, but you did not do a proper just sold marketing campaign. Let me know in the chat right now. Like, think about all the sales of spring. How many of you feel like you missed like 3 or 4 or 5 of those opportunities? Like, look at everyone in the chat right now. Sean saying missed. Yeah, Tiffany saying I got like 6 of them. And so this is we had this idea, and I just think I just think this is such a cool idea, and I cannot wait for you guys to put this to use. So we know that the show the sweat just solds work. We just know they work. I mean, we just got Vanessa Riley, who I'm doing a podcast with later this week, $250,000 of GCI from doing like the show the sweat campaigns. They just work. But you oftentimes forget to send them or don't have time to send them when you're in the busiest season. So I thought about this idea of where is the rule in the real estate code of conduct book that says you can't send a just sold postcard 6 months after you sell a house? Because I think right now in our minds, like you're like, oh no, there's a window, and if you miss the window, too bad, you got to move on. Well, I don't think that's true. I think that if you miss the window, all you got to do is change the messaging. And guess what? The window just got a lot bigger. And so what we have here is, Tina saying all my big $1 million deals, none of them. Yep. So Tina, you're going to love this. We created the just sold reimagined. So here's the campaign. Hey, Tina, it's been about 6 months since I sold your neighbor's house at 55 Hanover Street, and I wanted to share a quick update with you on what's happening in the Auburn market. Since the sale, 2 homes nearby have closed. They sold for 13% faster than town average, and we had 35% more showings than usual. That's a strong sign that strong sign that buyer demand in Auburn remains high. Rates have eased from the mid 7s, which they were back in the spring, to the low 6s. That drop has given buyers more room to move with lower payments, higher budgets, and more confidence to act. Everything we see right now backs up that statement. I've been reviewing homes in Auburn that were purchased over 10 years ago, and most have seen a substantial rise in value. This kind of helps us not worry about the sort of like maybe blip you have in your market where values are down 5% or 10%. If it's been more than 6 months since you've had a professional update on your home, text me. Here's my number. I'll prepare one for you today. So this campaign is designed for a few reasons. Number one, we're trying to provide that, hey, we actually sell houses in your neighborhood, which matters to the consumer. Number two, we're trying to give them something relevant happening in the area. I'm giving you some examples of like, hey, homes are selling faster and you get more showings, but you can use whatever 2 data points that are positive data points. Then rates have eased. We tell them what the impact of that is for their home value. And then we have a simple, easy call to action. So my advice would be this, to put this into practice, as I am going to make a list of all of the homes that I should have done a just sold for that I didn't. I'm going to find maybe the closest 100 homes to those particular properties. So if you've got 3 homes, you're looking at 300 doors. If you got 5 homes, 500 doors. I'm going to look for homes that are similar in age, probably 10 plus years since they last sold. And obviously I'm looking for primarily homes that have equity in the property. And then I'm sending this letter out to them. Because this is an example, and I'm probably, to be clear, I'm probably making an additional phone call as well. Because I think this is a perfect example of how you can convert every listing and turn it into more listings. Part of being great at marketing is figuring out ways to take your conversations and turn them into more conversations. So this is for those of you who are right now. This is for those of you who right now who are on today's call who are like, Jimmy, I've got like a bunch of sales I just did not do a just sold for. I want to get seller leads now. I want to get people to raise their hand now. This is the campaign for you. Nazan saying, is this meant to be a letter or an email? That's going to be a letter. It's going to be a sales letter. We're huge fans of sales letters at Listing Leads. Tina, do this, Tina. Tina, do it, report back the results, send the mailers, make some phone calls. Let's get some more listings, especially at that price point, Tina. I got a lot of people on the call today who are really ready to rock and roll. Love it. Yeah, Tiffany, please report back. Tiffany's an absolute machine. Tiffany says she's going to do it. She's going to do it, and she will share the results with everyone. Shout out to Tiffany for sharing that guy, by the way, earlier today. Yeah, Eric saying got 3 of those. Okay, so let's wrap today's session with this. This week's plan: deal of the week, email of the week, text of the week, social media, letter. I just want you getting into motion on these things. Start building up your pipeline, engaging your pipeline, converting your pipeline, and then growing your database. That's the plan for listing leads, is getting you in a position where you're firing all cylinders. Engage, convert, and grow. On that note, as I mentioned at the beginning of today's session, I got a couple housekeeping items. You guys are going to want to stick around for this because I got a ton of questions about this past week. It's 3 things I want to cover. The first is we just rolled out a brand new tool called AI mode that we've been now slowly scaling to our customer base. We just actually dropped a brand new design. So for those of you right now in the chat, let me know, like, how many of you just want to automate the email marketing? Like, let me know in the chat right now. How many of you just like want to automate your email marketing with listing leads? Like, hey, Jimmy, I love everything you guys are doing, but like, please, please, please just automate this for me. Well, we just rolled out a brand. You could just see the yeses in there, by the way. So real quick, for everyone who said yes, do me a favor, click on AI mode. This is our premium service. So for those of you who want to do it yourself, by all means, go for it. But for those of you who just want to, like, who know that you can get deals from email, but you just haven't had the time, our new AI mode tool will actually automate that for you. So do me a favor, go to automate, or go to, I'll go to the link here. I'll drop in the chat for everyone. Go here and go to listingleads.com/AI mode. Sign up for your free trial. You get 30 days completely free with Listing Leads. Sign up for your free trial on Wednesday of this week. So sign up today, and then I'll get you an invite because on Wednesday of this week, we're doing an AI mode training. So we'll actually get your emails set up, and we'll configure all your automation together on a trading call. So we'll do all of that on Wednesday of this week. So sign up for your account today if you want to automate everything. And you're like, hey, Jimmy, just please help me with email marketing. Let's make sure you get your automated. Sign up. We'll get you trained this Wednesday. We'll get you onboarded, and we'll get you taking full advantage of our brand new tool, AI mode. So that's number 1. Number 2, we just want to call 2 things out. We have a Listing Leads Basics call that we host every other week, where Hannah, if you're new to Listing Leads and you just need to get trained on the blocking and tackling and you just need a little bit more additional support, I would highly recommend attending the Listing Leads Basics call. We'll get you dialed in on that call. Very simple, very straightforward. We'll make sure we drop a link to that as well. And actually, I think Bethany on my team was on that. So Bethany, if you don't mind dropping a link to the AI mode training as well as the Listing Leads Basics, we'll make sure that we get everyone a link to both trainings as well. And we'll send that in the the reply. Oh yeah, so Kyle, you have to log into Listing Leads to be able to get there. That's correct. Thank you, Tiffany. And finally, number 3, I have to plug this because we had so many people asking about this. We have a new tool, part of what we do here at Listing Leads. I had a chance to launch a brand new company with an incredible team called Beacon. You probably have seen me post about it ad nauseum on social media. Probably share some examples and success stories there. I just want to call this out because we had a bunch of questions in our group. We actually are offering a 20% off for life for all Listing Leads members. So if you haven't tried Beacon yet, Beacon is an AI seller report tool. It allows you to showcase all the marketing you've been doing, all the different tasks and administrative works. So for everyone on today's call who's just sending out these manual seller reports, this is going to blow your mind in terms of what we built. So I highly recommend checking out Beacon as well. We got a ton of questions on it. As a Listing Leads member, you do get 20% off for life. So if you haven't had a chance to check out Beacon, by all means, check it out. So that's it for Campaign Kickoff Call today, guys. I appreciate everyone jumping on today's session. I love doing these calls. Lee will be back with us next week to help support you. Be sure to check out the Listing Leads Basics call. If you haven't registered for the AI mode, do that as well. And then finally, if you have a chance to check out Beacon, we'd love to get your support. Check out that product. We're very proud of what we built, and we think it solves a really big problem in this industry. I will see you next Monday for Campaign Kickoff. Have a great week, everyone. Let's go get some listings.